Hello, everybody. My name is Brian Orrick, and this is my presentation on how to differentiate instruction by the learner. So the first thing you're probably wondering is, what is differentiated learning? It's defined as a collection of best practices strategically employed to maximize students' learning potential, including giving them tools to handle undifferentiated experiences, or MELI 2018. When asked by my coworkers what I think differentiated learning is, it goes something along the lines of the variety of learning practices that can bring out not only the best in our students, but the best out of us educators as well. If you look over to the visual to the right, it's really broken up into three distinct pieces of content, process, and product, which leads to the overall effect. Content is adapting, the content to students' interests, age, academic readiness, their language proficiency level. When we're going into processing, it can be the process into individualized efforts, a pairing of sorts, small groups or whole groups. The product that we put out as educators could be an assortment of videos and photos for visual learners, reading and writing, oral presentation, graphic organizing, and an overall assessment of projects, which leads to the effect of a safe environment. Students are free to make and learn from their mistakes. They feel accepted, and it brings out positive feedback. Why is differentiated learning important? There are several benefits to differentiated learning, not only for the students, but for us educators as well. In my forums and in my talks before, I'm very outspoken about how I don't think this really just benefits students. I think it benefits us educators. Also, I think it's a two-way street. It gives an opportunity to bring out the potential in everybody involved in the classroom. In our textbook, How to Differentiate Instruction, it goes into a deeper meaning saying how differentiated instruction, quote unquote, grows us as we grow the young people in our care, and that we are challenged to become the best possible versions of ourselves as we challenge our students to become their best as well. Tomlinson 2017. Some of the benefits of differentiated learning are greater student engagement, it boosts student motivation, social and academic inclusivity, and it builds greater confidence in not only students but educators as well. What differentiated learning is and what it is not. What it is proactive. It's more qualitative than quantitative. It's rooted in assessment. It's taking multiple approaches to content, process, and product. Student-centered. I mentioned earlier how it is a blend of whole class, group, and individual instruction. And frankly, it's organic and dynamic. What it is not is individualized instruction, right? We just said it's a whole blend of everything, whole class, group, and individual. It's not chaotic. If your classroom management is on par and up to key, then this shouldn't be a problem. If we're being honest, it's not going to be chaotic. Just another way to provide homogeneous grouping, tailoring the same suit of clothes, and just for outliers. This is what it is not. Some potential ways to implement differentiated learning inside the classroom. You can offer student options and choices. This can go in terms of, free writing examples, topics, opportunities to go sit in different areas of the classroom to get a better sense of learning and focus. Providing multiple forms of reading and writing materials. This is a very big one because as a student of the Mount the past couple semesters, uh, it has been just advocated and preached. I think we need to include more diverse forms of reading and writing material for students to read. I think that could be a way to include that type of differentiated learning. Personalized learning material and methods, and to customize teaching habits and practices to suit all students, right? This, again, it brings the two-way street of that. I think we as educators also need to evaluate ourselves and give us a chance to go outside our comfort box and see to the extent of we can do also. We're going to get into learning styles, all right, and the myth behind learning styles. Sorry. So according to the learning styles theory, a self-reported visual learner will learn best through visual content. Auditory learners will learn best through hearing content. Reading and writers will learn best when they read or write content. And kinesthetic learners learn best by physically manipulating or moving new content. Teach Thought Staff 2022. So basically, a visual learner will learn best through seeing, hearing for audio, you get, and so forth. But what if I told you that this was just a myth of understanding, and there was no factual evidence that learning styles even do exist, right? So the idea that different students have different learning style pervades education, but cognitive scientists says there's no evidence learning styles exist. Off-Gang 2022. Daniel T. Washington, professor of psychology at the University of Virginia, believes that there are, quote unquote, some people that will recode information so that it is consistent with their learning style, meaning that they won't go outside of their comfort zone on purpose because it just suits the standard that they fit for themselves. When conducting experiments on people who believe this, it actually showed that in the end that it did not help and they did not do the task any better than originally stated. So let's get into multimodal learning, right? So instead of investing in learning styles, educators should focus on facilitating multimodal learning. Multimodal learning is a teaching concept that engages students with concept interaction through visual, auditory, writing, and kinesthetic learning methods. So instead of focusing on just one singular learning style, multimodal learning puts an emphasis on multiple learning styles being used at the same time. An example for visual, instead of just looking at one thing, they're able to, they're able to use visuals and form of graphs and diagram. Instead of just using one learning style, they are benefiting from using multiple ones at the same time. So let's get into readiness and interest that can equal more engagement inside the classroom. Readiness refers to the student's knowledge and skill regarding given content. Interest refers to the topic, skills, or activities that students are curious or inspired about. When you combine the two together, and we as educators have an amazing opportunity to not only create a lesson plan that can engage our students, but it gives them a chance to develop their own growth and motivation in the end also. And then we're going to learn on to some learning profiles. And learning profiles refer to the ways in which we learn best as individuals. It is the complete picture of the student's learning preferences, strengths, and challenges. Learning profiles have 4 factors that play a role in how individuals approach learning or process information. One is the learning style. It's their environmental, awareness and surroundings. Number 2 is intelligence preferences. This is just a brain blast of, what they prefer, what they're into. Number 3 is gender, and number 4 is culture. And both of them intertwine in a sense with each other on their own, factors and role on how they play in terms of, if you look to the right here, what kind of learner profile that we're, trying to develop inside these students. I'd like to say thank you for taking the time out to listen to my presentation. I hope you all enjoyed it. These are my references, and thank you again for listening to my presentation.